Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining me again today for another review. I'm your movie guru, and this time we're going to be talking about Antebellum, which debuted this weekend in theaters and a bunch of streaming services. I happen to watch it on Amazon Video. Uh, Now we're going to get right into it. It's got an abysmal 28% score on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics, but then a 63% score for the fans. Critics gave it an average of 5 out of 10, and then regular audiences gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I'll tell you right up front, I gave it a 6 out of 10. For those of you who don't know anything about it, and without giving anything away, what you can kind of tell from the trailer is it's billed as this kind of horror film. Stars Janelle Monae, Eric Lange, Jena Malone, and it's kind of confusing from the trailer, but you can tell it's set around the Civil War time on a plantation. It shows slaves picking cotton, but then it's juxtaposed with present day. Like there's a scene you can see in the trailer where slaves are in the field, and they look up and they see an airplane, and you also see the lead character Janelle Monae. She's also picking with the other slaves in the field, but you also see her in present day, dressed like how we dress now, and not back in the 1800s. And so you don't kind of understand what's going on, but you know that it's a horror film, and it's very reminiscent of ones that came out earlier. The Jordan Peele films, talking about Us and Get Out, and it really seems like it's going to be something in that same vein. I'll talk about what I did like about the film. I did think the acting was really well, particularly Janelle Monae and Eric Lange. I think they did great jobs with the characters. It did really make me feel, that they were their characters and they weren't actors, playing a certain character. I never got that vibe. And I think the cinematography was really nice. I liked the visuals, the backdrop, and everything seemed very vibrant. And it really, they did a really good job of placing you in that scenery. You really felt, like you could reach out and touch what it is you were watching. That said, the film is a bit of a mess when it comes to, it has this big kind of overarching theme, but what it shows doesn't really fit into that. It's like it's got this grand introduction, where it mentions all these things, and then, it doesn't really get into those. Uh, One of the things that I think that this film falls prey to, and I think I've mentioned it before, is I really believe that films, and not just films, like you can even, I think, relate this with like other mediums as well, like books. They should have a great story first, and then you can weave a message into that story. Vice, you starting off with, you have a message, and then you weave a story around that message. Because when you just have a message that you're trying to get across, I think what you're opening yourself up to is that the film can seem kind of heavy-handed, which I think this film does. Where there's no nuance. It's really obvious. The points that you're trying to make, and then also I think you can leave yourself open to things being kind of contrived, and you're forcing things, to fit this message that you're trying to tell, because that's the purpose, is you want to get across this message. And so plot devices and characters and scenes that happen, they just are thrown in there to fit that narrative. And I think you can fall prey to that when you start with message first. Vice, I have this great story I want to tell, and I'm going to weave this message into that, because then, you have a great story. your first and primary concern is being entertaining and, telling a good story. And that's one of the big problems I see with this film is like what it's trying to say. It's obvious what it's trying to say, and there's no nuance in that. There's no hinting. The visuals, everything you see, you're like, okay, we get what you're trying to say, and then it delivers its message across, but then it's not very entertaining. And then for something that's billed as a horror film, it's like the subject matter is, if you take it in a realistic way, is horrific, but it's not scary at all. It's not anything that's gonna go out and leave you frightened or haunted, by the visuals that you've seen. It just doesn't do that. I think it really was something that was sent as, hey, let's get this message across, and then built this film around it. So I think that's one of the biggest problems with the film, is that it does that. And then another big problem that I think with the film is, like what I said earlier, it kind of weaves this grandiose type of thing, but the plot is actually really basic, and I think it kind of contorts and weaves around things to try and hide that from you, and make it seem really deep and really sophisticated, when actually, like, when you get to the end, even in the trailer for the film, it's like, oh, you won't believe this twist, it'll leave you stunned, and it's like, no, it didn't. Like, you could absolutely understand that from watching the film, and there are ways that it tries to contort and weave, so you don't know what's going to happen, or you don't know what's really going on, when, if you're paying attention, what's going on the whole time. About midway through the film, you're like, okay, I get it, this is what's going on. And so instead of it really being deep and having depth, I think it's not really that deep, but instead it tries to use illusions and tricks to trick you into thinking that. So like I said, I like the visuals, I like the acting, it is entertaining at times, but for a horror film, or for a thriller or something that, especially given that I know this film, a lot of people are going to compare to like Us, or compare to Get Out, and compared to those, it just falls flat. So I give it a 6 out of 10. That's how I've got for this one. If you want to watch it, I say go ahead. It was $20 to rent on Amazon. I definitely wouldn't advise paying $20 to see it. I don't think it's that much of a film, but I got to watch it at home. I don't think it's something either that I would enjoy had I gone out and made an outing of this to go out to the theater and see this. I think this was something that, when it's finally streaming, for free, just with your basic subscription, if you want to check it out, go ahead. Or if you really, really love films and you've got nothing else to do this weekend, go ahead and see it. But other than that, I'd say you could pass on this one and just wait till it's out on streaming. But that's my thought. If you saw it and you absolutely loved it, you disagree with me, let me know. Write me a comment. We can talk about it. That's all I got for this one. I'll see you guys next time. Hit the like button and the subscribe button if you like what you see, and I'll see you guys again.